and a few of the events that I think are pretty odd, to be honest. As you guys know, I have been on the road. I am actually on my way back home. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've taken notes on in the last 24 hours. If you haven't watched last night's show, there's an update to a lot of really important things over on our other channel, Marfoogle TV. And then, of course, the update that we did on Marfoogle News. So there was a huge explosion in a China port that now they're saying may actually affect way more than just the port. There was a China port explosion snarls trans-Pacific container trade. The closure of the Ningbo Bailun Phase 3 terminal is expected to significantly disrupt trans-Pacific trade lanes and the global supply chain during the peak shipping season. Now, this is China, a port, and again, there's some other events that have been going on that I think are quite odd. So I think that this explosion is something's a little bit off. But the closure follows an explosion aboard the Yang Ming vessel, a YM mobility involving hazardous organic peroxide materials. Ningbo is the world's third busiest container port and has halted container traffic, exacerbating supply chain disruptions already affected by previous events like Typhoon Gaemi. Now, again, this is many of the container ships that are coming from China are supporting way more stuff than we should be getting from China. But that's, it's a sad truth that a ton of the stuff in the United States and other places all over the world are getting a ton of their stuff from China. So if something like this happens, it can, obviously it can affect prices of things and everything else. We are already sitting at this crazy inflation. I don't even know what the current inflation rate is, but I do know if I walk into the store, it's absolutely stupid to buy almost anything. And that all stems from, 50 different problems that are happening right now. The shutdown, of course, came at a really critical time, as it was actually a record peak volume period for the actual North American imports system. So, and August is one of the biggest months. Now, Christian Roloff's co-founder and CEO of the Container Exchange warned that the closure will worsen existing supply chain issues, leading to delays, increased dwell times, and potential rerouting of shipments. Now, there's other events going on and some really, really weird kind of super late news articles that are coming out basically talking about previous events that I think are extremely weird. Now, there's new information about official Nord Stream sabotage narrative says that Zelensky's top general went rogue. Now, first of all, there's tons of odd things coming out right now, but this is about the pipeline. Now, there's another story that goes into this, so you'll see what I mean. But of course, a fresh Wall Street Journal report suggests that the sabotage of the Nord and the pipe underwater was carried out by a rogue general in Ukraine, Valery Zelensky, despite orders from Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, everybody's favorite profile picture, to halt the operation. So he said, "Stop it, guys. This is not cool." The report describes the operation as public-private partnership funded by businessmen and executed by a small team of using rented equipment and minimal resources. They said roughly, I think it was $300,000 that they said that they spent. So they're basically saying that some rich oligarchs in Ukraine, yacht-owning oligarchs got together and they're like kicking back some beers and they're like, let's go blow up a pipeline. That's essentially what they're saying here. It says the operation was reportedly planned among Ukrainian senior officers and businessmen, originating from casual discussions over drinks. This is literally the story that they're telling us to believe. Zelensky initially approved the plan, but later tried to stop it after the CIA intervened. However, General Zelensky went ahead with the plan, modifying it and carrying out this actual boom event, leading to a German investigation that identified the boat and the crew involved. The German investigation has not directly linked Zelensky to the operation, is now focusing on former General Zelensky, the fall guy or whatever they want to call him, who is currently the Ukrainian ambassador to the UK. So it's so crazy because everybody, if you go anywhere else in the world, and if you are high ranking in Ukraine right now, at least, I'm sure later down the road, any of these guys are not going to, get the job with their resume. But currently, of course, the whole world is supposed to be like, oh, these guys are absolutely beautiful. They're saving the world and everything else. So they're getting these super high up positions. At least that's what I've noticed with the generals and some of the higher ranking officials that basically left, including, how they fired the nine people right under Vladimir. Because they were basically, they found out that some of these guys had supercars, mansions, all this stuff. Well, they got fired for suspicion, basically taken a little off the top. Well, some of those guys, even though that they were kind of being investigated, some of those guys got killer, crazy, insane jobs. So yeah, no connection there, no weirdness there. And the narrative has been met with skepticism, as some viewing the story as oversimplistic or absurd. Although, maybe they were thinking when they leaked this, maybe they were thinking that it's so simplistic and so absurd that people like us are going to go, oh, well, yeah, I guess the truth is stranger than fiction. Like, I'm not surprised by anything anymore. I don't know. But this is like wild. The report contrasts previous theories, including claims by journalist Seymour Hersh. Of course, that's super touchy that the three-letter agency was involved with other suggestions that top leadership in Ukraine and Poland with U.S. intelligence knowledge approved this whole thing. That pipeline, remember they said, Russia did this. It was their own pipeline. They controlled it. If they wanted to turn it off, they could just turn it off. So if they wanted to stop the outflow of the gas, they just flip a switch or, roll one of those huge steel wheels, whatever. I don't know how they closed the damn thing, but they could have done that. They didn't have to blow it up. So one thing is official. Almost no one believes the official narrative. So this new narrative, why is it coming out now? Well, I will point out that Estonian minister, get this is why this is like super off. Estonian minister dubious about China's claim pipeline damage was accidental. Now get this, there was a container ship that actually dragged its anchor, and they said, I thought I saw somewhere that it was hundreds of miles, but it was dragged for quite a while, and it accidentally damaged the Baltic connector pipeline between Estonia and Finland between October 7 and October 8th. Remember, when October 7 happened, there was nothing else on the news besides what was going on in Israel. Nobody talked about this, and I think we covered this, but I don't even remember seeing this. Uh-oh. All right, let's see here. Oh, let's see if I can just get this going here like that. All right, so let me see if I can just balance it here. Might even be just better off setting it on the table here. I think this thing died. That's what happened. All right, so let me try to read this at the same time as juggling. You can probably hear the seagulls in the back. So they said that they were dragging the anchor, and they ended up dragging the anchor and tearing up this pipeline, which doesn't make any sense on accident. Now, it does make sense if it was on purpose, considering this is not the first time. In fact, China actually tore up a pipe or an underwater sea cable between two of the smaller islands in Thailand, which is not mentioned in any of these articles. And they also said it was an accident. People that are on container ships and that have ever run container ships basically say, like, this is absurd to think that these pilots would literally just let their anchor drag across the seabed and that they wouldn't know. Like, we understand that these are super powerful container ships, but they would know. The pipeline was repaired in April at a cost of $35 million, or actually those are pounds, or $38 million. But Estonia doubts that China will cover the repair costs. Pekver questioned how the ship's captain could have failed to notice the anchor dragging for such a long distance. And again, they're saying like hundreds of miles. Finnish Foreign Minister Lena Valtonen noted that ongoing cooperation with China, but refrained from discussing investigation. So here's what I think about this. This is really strange that just a couple days ago, we get this news about the whole the Nord Stream thing, and they're talking about this like in the last 3 days. The whole Nord thing comes out at the same period of time where they're talking about this Chinese boat that ended up dragging and cutting basically a pipeline. So pipeline for pipeline. Why did these stories come out in such close proximity? It's almost like, oh, well, they did this. Well, we need to put out something to the public. It's almost like they're getting in front of something we don't know what actually happened. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. But first of all, China with the port explosion, and then this event with when they dragged and hit the pipeline. Are these practice events? As far as the pipeline, if they can essentially cut the pipelines and the underwater sea cables, we will have lost our hardline connection to the UK. Now, if you also look at what China has as far as technology for, obviously they have EMP, they have super EMP, they have all that stuff. They now have hypersonics. We just covered this last night, some sort of hypersonic that is supposedly able to skip the atmosphere and do something that scientists don't even know how they're doing. On top of all of that, they have essentially the ability, they supposedly have the ability to basically stop satellite communications or knock our satellites out of the sky and or stop our radar on a lot of our ships and, of course, our defensive systems. So, could this be practice for something bigger? They cut communications. Everybody is coordinated. We've been talking about this the last couple of days. People have always been, this last week, been guessing when Iran was actually going to strike. But at the same time, it hasn't happened yet. And some of the folks that are out there have been saying that what if they end up striking along with all of the other countries at the same time, like they're about to coordinate for the big one. Quite odd with all of the other stuff going on. Now, of course, if you guys protect yourself against EMP, it's pretty smart. Go over to marfoogle.com/EMP. If they do end up EMPing us, or if we get a Carrington level event from the sun, just want to remind you guys, we have an affiliate product that not only helps us, you get a huge discount, but it can actually protect you and get you home in the event of that. Go to marfoogle.com/EMP and check it out. I highly appreciate it. Our families appreciate it. Any support or sharing our stuff out. But now, of course, they have the Iran attack could come up with no warning. They keep talking about it in the next couple days. The U.S. has warned that Iran will launch an attack on Israel with little to no warning, possibly in the coming days, according to the U.S. National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby. I call him the used car salesman. It says an attack could come with little or no warning, with certainty that it could come coming days. John Kirby, U.S. National Security Communications. The U.S. has increased its military presence in the Middle East, including sending a guided missile submarine to be ready to defend Israel against a potential Iranian attack. Despite these preparations, the U.S. does not have a clear understanding of what the attack might look like or what it might take. The warning comes amidst ongoing ceasefire and hostage negotiations in Doha, with Washington sending messages to Iran through third parties to encourage de-escalation. The U.S. supposedly hopes that a ceasefire deal in the Strip will prevent retaliatory attacks from Iran and Hezbollah for recent taking out of all of their heroes, their martyrs. Now, I want to remind you, they did not do a major strike back for Soleimani. They did not do it for Mahmoud, I think it was, and then I forget the negotiator's name. But all three of these guys, I showed you last night, they are on posters all over the country. And I'm sorry, must look like got some sort of nerve damage or something. My gimbal died here, guys. Sorry. Yeah, let me see if I can balance this real quick. There we go. I just can't move. All right, so nobody knows what time this is going to hit. As far as that, I almost think this could be like where they, all come together and try to coordinate. Because I do believe there's going to be a big event, a bigger event than we've ever seen before. This is what many of my peers think. This is what some of my peers won't say on camera because they don't want to scare people. I'm not trying to scare people because I think that all of us here in the United States are definitely going to get like we're going to have, well, first of all, we've had 5-6 years of warning before this, so most of us already know what is possible. But second, I think that our situation, I think things are going to pop off in Europe and in North Korea, South Korea, in other places before it ends up hitting us. So people should have at least, I hope in the days or weeks time before things get really pumped up, before they end up putting American soldiers directly into the fire. That's what I'm hoping. I'm not hoping for any of it to happen, but again, that's why I said I don't think people should be scared just yet. The attack from Iran, it's going to escalate things if it is exactly what they think it is. A massive, massive attack. Who knows, though? Maybe the U.S. could literally take out every missile along with, David's sling, arrow, and all of these other systems. So I guess we'll see with that. There we go. It's just going to be a little crooked. So again, I hope you guys have been following all of our videos that we've been putting out, especially on the road. Things are going haywire. A lot of my friends and I have been telling friends and family members to get serious about prep. I think that everybody needs to start looking at their plans. If you want to get an update, of course, on all of the rest that's going on in the Middle East, join me over on our other sister channel. In fact, if you're watching the replay, you can get to it right here. Have a good night, guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.